as you can see, it is time for Neal at Noon, but I am not at home or in the office. I am here in Jacksonville. Thank you so much for chiming in or tuning in to watch this Neal at Noon. Now, on the drive up, I had a couple of interesting conversations. If you notice, I'm not trying to fool you. This is not a live video, but it's not just because I'm out of town. It's based on a conversation I had with one of the viewers who gave me a call and said, Neal, I love the content. However, I know that one of your 4 pillars of success is excellence. And right now, because of the internet connections that you're using, the quality of the videos are not excellent. They're grainy and choppy, and sometimes it gets a lot of static in it. So me and the team made the decision, or the team and I made the decision to just upload the videos and then do premieres at noontime. So we still have the Neal at Noon. We do lose the live the live portion of it, but the content is still going to be the same. And another conversation that I had on the drive up to Jacksonville yesterday was that Neal, I don't know where to find the content. I know initially you were thinking about going IG live, then YouTube live, and Facebook live. We've scrapped that. The only place the information is going to be premiered on YouTube live, and then we'll share a link to all of the various social media platforms. So let's dive in. That just piggybacks or comes on the back of yesterday's talk about the growth gaps. So if I was waiting to be perfect in order to launch Neal at Noon, it would never get launched, because as you can see, there are things that we're learning on the fly. If we were waiting until we knew the best way to do something, we would not be doing it, because we are learning on the fly. But if you're going to be intentional about growth, that's what we want to park for a moment. If you want to be intentional about growth in every area of your life, there are a few questions that you must ask yourself, and there are a few things that you must do before you can grow intentionally. The first thing is to ask the big question first. And the big question is not, well, do I have to? Because that answer is yes, right? Well, when I say have to, if you want to be better, then you must grow. Growth does not happen by accident. So the big question is really not, should you get started? Should you grow intentionally? The big question is, how far can you go? How big can this get? And maybe before you ask that question, you might need to ask yourself, where do I want to go in life? What do I want out of this dress rehearsal called life? Right? And I think that that's necessary for you to know, and at least have an answer to know what you want. So then you can say, well, how far can I go? I know I have aspirations and dreams of how far I want to go. Thus, you're looking at me on whatever screen you are right now, because there is a goal, there's a plan, and then there's an execution when it comes to intentional growth. Now, something that I would ask you to listen to me on is this next point, and this is called Do It Now. As someone who had an interaction with death himself, and God was fortunate enough to bring me back to this side of the living, I'm telling you, the only time that you have is the time that you have, which is now. Your enemy to living a life of intentional growth is this word that we call later. Okay, so there is no such thing as later. Later is a myth. We want to plan for the future, but we want to act in the present. So we want to do it and do it now. Face the fear factor. So whatever you're afraid of, we as human beings, we have 2 things present in us at all time. One of them is some level of fear, and the other is some level of faith. And it is up to you to decide which one you're going to feed, which one you're going to exercise. Is your life going to be an exercise of fear, where you're hesitant and you're anxious about what's around the next corner? Or are you going to walk in faith and say, I don't know, but I do know that it requires me to get started and do it now? Something else, how to change from, well, there's a necessity, not how to, but understanding there's a necessity to change from incidental growth to intentional growth. Yesterday, this was where we chatted briefly about the School of Hard Knocks. If the only way, the only plan that you have to grow is learn as you go along, meaning whatever life gives me, the lumps that I take on my head, I'll learn from those. It's going to be few and far in between as far as your learning lessons go, but probably they're going to be painful as well. And I don't believe that you want to go through and have every lesson that you learn be a painful one. Now, there are two quotes that I want to share with you. They have been profound in my life, and I hope that they will have the same impact on yours. One of them is, you must know yourself to grow yourself. You must know yourself to grow yourself. If you've ever been in a mall or traveling out of town and you stop at a rest area, you will see somewhere on the map or the map in the mall that says you are here. This is the equivalent of you knowing yourself, knowing where you are, what's your starting point. Because any GPS, any map is only as good as the inputs that you give it. And there are two important inputs that you must give. First, the location where you're currently located, and the second one, where you want to go. So you need to know yourself to grow yourself, so you know, hey, where am I starting? What do I have to work with? What are my challenges? What are my strengths? What are my areas for opportunities for growth? Okay, and so once you know yourself, and then we ask that big question, how far do I want to go? What do I want to get out of life? That's how we'll be able to come back and have a growth plan and a map to best decide our route that we're going to take. And then another quote I want you to know is that you must see value in yourself to add value to yourself. The most valuable people are the ones who know they have value. You must see yourself as the miracle that you are. You must see yourself as a work of art, you know, that the craftsman himself, that the ultimate craftsman or creator has put together intentionally on purpose for a purpose. You must see value in yourself. And there are a couple of ways you want to show that you see value in yourself so you can add value to yourself. The first one is to guard your self-talk. The world is crazy enough. People are, you know, I guess critical enough to talk against you that there's no reason for you to set yourself up for success with the words that are coming out of your mouth. I know the word says that with the tongue, life and death are spoken. Why would you speak death upon yourself? Now, you're the only person that's always with you, knows everything that you've done your entire life, and knows every thought that you've had. Now that's scary. Now what's scarier is that knowing all of that information, you have to control and be conscious of what you think about and what you say. Watch that self-talk. Everyone's always having conversations about themselves with themselves. What are you saying about yourself? So in the speaker, presenter, and teaching world, it is common talk practice that when, you know, a good way to break the ice is to have self-deprecating humor, which means that if I say something about myself, if I'm overweight, then it makes other people feel good about their inadequacies or something that they might see as a shortcoming. Don't ever speak to me and think I'm going to make you feel good by making myself look bad. I'm not going to speak death over myself or my situation, but I'm also not going to speak death over you. Instead, if I speak life into life, as Jim Rohn said, there's nothing better than that. And that brings to the second point, add value to others. Find some way to add value to someone else's life on a consistent and continual basis. Maybe one of those ways might be to introduce them to this Neal at Noon series. That's easy. I'll do the work for you. But maybe it is just to have conversations with them. Maybe it's to tell them how awesome they are. Find a way to add value to someone in your life and do it when. That's right, now. And the last thing, in order to really see value in yourself, is to do the right thing even when it is the hard thing. Always, I said always take the high road. As long as two people are in any situation or circumstances are happening, or you're dealing with human beings, there's going to be a time when you have to decide if you're going to take the high road or the low road. My friend Fremo says that some people's lives are meant to be easy and some people's lives are meant to be great. So I just want to remind you really quickly that I love you, God loves you, and there's nothing you can do about it. Until next time, don't be average, be world renowned. Peace.